There's this dude, Romeo, and he's fierce. And then there's this hottie, Juliet. They had names like that because, it was in times way back before MTV. So no one had cool names like Carson or Brittany. They all had really geeky names like Benvolio and Tybalt and Mercutio. They come from these two huge families with like tons of cousins and second cousins. One family's the Montagues and the other's the Capulets. And man, they really hate each other. Like, they can't even walk down the street without wailing at one another. Well, Juliet's old man decides to throw this kickin' party, and he has to send out this servant to tell everyone because they didn't have cell phones back then. Weird. But this servant's like a little slow or something, and he can't make out the names on the list. So he stops to have someone help him read it, and check it out, it's Romeo. So Romeo looks at this list, and there's all these names of people that he doesn't really like. But then he sees Rosalind's name, and she's this chick who's like totally hot, and Romeo has been always wanting to date her. So he decides to crash the party, which is really easy, you see, because it's a masquerade ball. So Romeo goes to this party, and he's checking out the girls, and he sees Juliet, and he goes, "Hello, who is that totally crushable babe?" And at the same time, she's saying to herself, "Whoa, who is that major cutie?" Which is bad, see, because in the beginning of the story, Shakespeare had already said that Romeo and Juliet were star-crossed lovers, so this relationship is probably doomed anyway. But that didn't stop them. So Romeo goes up and busts a move. And then he goes, "Oh then, dear saint, let lips do what hands do." And he kisses her. And it's like, wow, I mean, it was totally awesome for both of them. Then it's curfew time or something, and everyone has to leave. But when Romeo is heading for his part of town, he stops and jumps over the big fence in Juliet's yard, and he's like climbing up trees near her bedroom. And at the same time, Juliet goes out on her balcony, and she kind of stares up in the moon and gets all goofy and says, "Oh, Romeo, Romeo, wherefore art thou, Romeo?" And it's like, hello, he's sitting right underneath your balcony, but maybe she took her contacts out or something. So she figures it out, and suddenly Romeo's climbing up the wall because he wants to hang out with his honey on the balcony. And he's not there but for only a minute when, boom, they fall in love. Like, they have it bad for each other. And so Romeo goes, "Do you want to get married?" And she goes, "Yeah, that'd be excellent." So they run off and get married, only remember, it's in secret because their families hate each other. But then, like, right after this, Juliet's pushy cousin Tybalt shows up again. And he starts getting in Romeo's face. See, he doesn't know that they're married because he didn't get an invitation. And, like, he should be happy because he didn't have to buy them a wedding present. But he wants to kill Romeo. I mean, he's flipping out. But Romeo won't fight him, so Tybalt jumps in Mercutio's face. And he and Mercutio start beating on each other. Mercutio gets killed, and so Romeo kills Tybalt, which is dumb because now they're really not getting wedding presents from either side of the family. The prince expels Romeo, which is kind of like being expelled from school, but you gotta go to a whole other state or something. So Romeo and Juliet have to split for a while. And Juliet goes, "Oh, thinkest thou we shall ever meet again?" Because, you see, he's really in love, and he's afraid that Romeo won't come back. And Juliet starts bumming even more because now her old man wants her to marry Paris. Like, excuse me, she's already married. But her parents are clueless about that, and they're still planning a wedding. So it's like she's going to get presents one way or another. But then this priest guy gives Juliet some stuff to drink so that everyone will think she's dead until Romeo can get back from being grounded. But this stuff is so good that everybody thinks she's really dead, and they put her in this tomb thing. Then Romeo dreams that he found Juliet dead, and even though he's grounded in another state, he says, "Later, I'm out of here," and he takes off to see Juliet. But he stops at like a drugstore for some poison, so he misses that letter that the priest sent that says, "Juliet isn't dead, she's just sleeping." Oops. But then Romeo sees Juliet and goes, "Oh, dear Juliet, why art thou so fair?" Because, if she was dead, she ought to be getting like green and start smelling funny. And that totally bumps him out. So he takes the poison, like, duh. And then, you'll never guess this part, she wakes up and sees Romeo and she goes, "Oh, happy dagger," and then she kills herself. I mean, like, what are these people, for real? And I mean, I guess that's Shakespeare's most famous love story.